Hey guys, Digmbots here, and welcome to my top 10 games of 2017. As always, if you like the video, give it a like and maybe subscribe. It really helps the channel out. Now, before we get started, a couple things about this list. First off, this list is my list. These are my opinions. They may not be yours. Second, if I didn't personally play a game this year, it isn't going to be on this list. This is the top 10 games that I have played this year. Alright, with that out of the way, let's get started breaking down my top 10 games for what was truly an amazing year in video games. Few games have been as highly anticipated as Cuphead, and no game has ever looked like Cuphead. Combining boss rush and bullet hell mechanics with 1920s and 30s animation and sound is an amazing feat, and Studio MDHR nailed it. These guys actually took out second mortgages on their homes just to get this game through development. Take control of Cuphead or Mugman and it's a joy as the controls are snappy and smooth. The boss characters are all varied with some incredible attacks, jaw-droppingly hard patterns to memorize, and amazing designs. I never felt like Cuphead was killing me unfairly, rather I knew that it was my own failings that were holding me back. This game looks and sounds amazing, it's hard as hell, and it demands that you get good in order to master everything it has to throw at you. If Cuphead was number 10, you know this list is going to get interesting. Next up at number 9 is Little Nightmares. This game crept onto my radar at a PSX a bit over a year ago and stayed firmly put until release when I finally got my hands on it. Available on Xbox, PS4, and Steam, this game isn't so much a horror title as a makes me super uncomfortable title. As you wander through the dim yet gorgeous world as Six in her little jello jacket, all manner of twisted horrible things will stalk you, chase you, and generally make your life a living hell. You have no means of defending yourself, and the game relies on clever use of the twisted differences in the size of Six and the world around her. Incredibly tall bookcases become a clever means of escaping a blade-wielding chef wearing the face of another person as a mask. It's all incredible stuff, and the atmosphere of this game is on point. If you're even remotely interested in a darker platforming adventure game, you owe it to yourself to play Little Nightmares. Alright, what to say about this one? Golf Story is a retro-inspired RPG on the Nintendo Switch. It's also about golf, and it's also batshit crazy. The art, the music, the writing, even the way the text bubbles tilt and wobble to display emotion, everything about this game is on point. The story is engaging and interesting, the locations are gorgeous, the characters are by turns, funny, likable, despicable, and more. Gameplay is incredibly tight and fun with a lot of depth, and it's an RPG. About golf. There's no reason this game should work as well as it does, but Golf Story is incredible. If you have a Switch, this one's a no-brainer, especially for short sessions in handheld mode. Alright, I already hear you whining in the comments. Look, this game is on this list for one reason, and one reason only, remember, my list. The vast amount of fun I have had playing it with friends. Look, Destiny 2 is a mess in many ways. Underneath the gorgeous visuals, tight gunplay, and the endless yet satisfying grind for loot lie a ton of issues. An uninteresting in-game economy, loot showers that actually make that grind almost pointless sometimes, a PvP system that would have been considered broken back in 2003, and yet the core idea of Destiny 2 keeps me coming back. I love the game, but I can't put it any higher than this because of the huge number of downsides. Bungie, fix your shit. If Destiny 2 is the game you love despite its flaws, Sonic Mania is a game that makes you go, holy hell, does this thing actually have any flaws? A truly endearing and incredibly well-made love letter to old-school Sonic games and Sonic fans, this is the only Sonic game worth talking about this year. This game came to be after Sega literally handed Christian Whitehead, Pagoda West, and Headcanon the keys to the 2D Sonic Kingdom and let them go wild. New stages, remix stages, incredible boss battles, and most of all, a perfectly nailed control scheme make this the best Sonic game in years. The music will have you tapping your foot as you fly through the levels as Sonic, Knuckles, or Tails. The old 3D bonus stages? Yeah, they're back as well. Oh, and did I mention you can play as Knuckles and Knuckles? Actually, why is this number 6? Knuckles in Knuckles mode? The internet is over. Sonic Mania wins! Pyre. We knew this game was going to be amazing when it was first unveiled, despite the fact that it's essentially a sports game. That is the power of Supergiant Games, the studio behind Bastion and Transistor. Pyre is a total departure from their previous two games, but it is unmistakably Supergiant. The art, the narration and voice acting, the music, all carry that same handcrafted Supergiant feel. Pyre has you playing as an outcast attempting to return to your homeland along with a ragtag group of teammates. As you travel across the wastes competing in the ritual, you'll form relationships with them, level up, gain new skills, and also learn more about the world you inhabit. The rituals themselves see you attempting to dunk a glowing orb of light into your enemy's pyre. There are attacks, counterattacks, special moves, and more to master, and the game does a great job ramping up its difficulty. It's hard not to care about everybody in this tragic world, and the game is incredibly refreshing to play. And again, this is Supergiant we're talking about here. Giant walking comets, huge swords, weird, cute, fuzzy little talking animals, robot maids. That's just the tip of the insane iceberg that is Monolith Soft's follow-up to Xenoblade Chronicles and Xenoblade Chronicles X. Going in a more story-driven direction, you follow Rex and his merry band of friends on a journey to save the world. Haven't heard that one before, right? Or, at least, that's the initial motivation. The story soon goes off the rail in the most delightfully insane of ways, with a character lecturing about the economic motivations that truly drive capitalism and good and evil one moment, to what I was pretty sure was a couple of Team Rocket rejects doing their best blasting off again impression the next. Combat is a complex dance of positioning, timing your abilities, and elemental destructions. Drivers and their living weapons blades have an immense amount of customization between abilities, skills, equipment, trust levels, and more. Wrap all this in a relationship system that it can affect the very game world, and you're going to be spending a few hundred hours in the world of All Rest. Good thing the soundtrack is goddamn amazing then. Moving from one of the most complicated open-world RPGs in years to one of the most stripped-down and pure, we hit number 3 and The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. A Switch launch title, this game is pulling in Game of the Year awards left and right. I love this game. The minimalistic interface, the lack of hand-holding, the amazing realization that trite age-old promise, if you can see it, you can go to it, is actually true in this game. Breath of the Wild redefines Zelda, breaking from the old tradition of hand-holding you for the first 5 hours. Instead, the game hands you your base abilities, shows you how to use them, and then turns you loose into a breathtaking world filled with enemies to fight, shrines to discover, and NPCs to meet. Some of the side stories in the game are truly magical, and I never tired of climbing the side of a cliff just to see what the next vista would hold. That being said, the lack of traditional dungeons was a slight bummer for me, as was the rather weak story. There are incredibly interesting characters here in the form of the champions, but they're almost non-entities in terms of story and character development. Even Zelda, who is amazingly interesting in her brief cutscene appearances, could have been developed so much more. Still, Breath of the Wild is an amazing adventure that rewrites the rules not only for the Zelda franchise, but for open-world games as a whole. In short, it's a masterclass in game design. But it isn't the only masterclass this year. Especially not with Nintendo also launching a new Mario game. Super Mario Odyssey is a true return to form for 3D Mario games, but it's so much more. Yes, 3D sandbox worlds are reminiscent of Super Mario 64 or Mario Sunshine, but there's so much hidden in each of these worlds, so many things to do and see. With over 800 moons to collect, the real game doesn't even start until after you've beaten the main story. Cappy adds an incredible set of movement capabilities to Mario's repertoire, even without using his possession mechanic to take over a hapless bullet bill and zoom around above the level. Wall jumping, then bouncing off of a spinning Cappy only to throw him out and pounce to him again in midair expands Mario's mobility in ways the series has never seen. Combined with the precision of the controls, the incredible art and music, some of the best level design ever in a Mario game, you have an instant classic. We'll be playing this game for some time to come, as the sheer amount of moons, coins, and costumes to unlock is pretty much a completionist nightmare. And at last we arrive at our number 1, Nier Automata. This game comes to us from the mind behind Drakengard and the original Nier. Yoko Taro has teamed up with Platinum Games, best known for their over-the-top spectacle brawlers like Bayonetta. Taking place in a post-apocalyptic world where humanity has retreated to the moon, you play as a series of androids that scour Earth for the remaining aliens that have forced humanity from their homeworld. With deep customization for your characters, a story that delights in throwing curveballs at you left and right, incredible fighting, and an out-of-this-world soundtrack, Nier is certainly a treat to watch and play. But what really sets it apart is the themes at the core of its story. Humanity, blind obedience to authority, and more are explored in the game, but all too often in ways that are surprising, disturbing, or both. The game has a huge number of endings, and trust me when I say that when you've seen the second ending, the real game is just getting started. This insane rabbit hole combining top-notch combat with incredible storytelling and character building will keep you coming back to Nier again and again. It's probably one of the most unique games in the last 5 years, and more than deserving of my title of #1 game of 2017. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. You agree with the list? Disagree? Sound off in the comments below, and I'll see you next time.